Hey there, everybody. Welcome back with the Plapper. Platypus is the name, and I am here with 16-Bit Bear. Welcome to this video.
Hello, thank you for having me. I'm quite excited to be here with the Plat.
So we are doing, it's kind of an interview, kind of a podcast, kind of just a chat, whatever. But basically I was watching his videos and I was like, wow, these are high quality. And he sounded like a cool dude. And we've been talking for a little while already, and he's been a very cool dude. So figured it'd be fun to do some sort of collab to kind of show the community of this game that the content creators aren't at each other's throats, but it's a, a raising tide raises all boats. I don't know how that saying works, but you know what I mean. The point is, if he does good, I do good. If I do good, he does good. We're all in this together.
Yeah, no, I can't tell how excited I am. I got that message from you, and I actually went to my wife in the other room and I said, someone wants to collab with me. I'm new. I'm a small timer, just started out, and I'm like, I can't believe this is like in the first few weeks, someone of your stature is over here reaching out to me. So I'm going to be happier to be here.
Look, I actually think it's like a good indicator that it shows that if you make good stuff, people will watch it. Your videos were good. I've seen a lot of small content creators. I'm like, they've got a long way to go before they really start, getting comfortable with who they are and what their content's going to be. But it looks like you could have been making content on this type of stuff for years already, right? You made good videos, and you know what? When you make good stuff, people watch it, people enjoy it. It's the number attached to it isn't really that important.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. It's been a small journey, but a journey nonetheless. And trying to find my voice, to your point, and that style. I'll tell you, my wife makes fun of me because I spend a lot of time on lighting and cameras. And I'd say, I've got a vision in my head, and it's a quality that I want to give to somebody else, and I'm not going to settle for something less than that. There's no reason to put the content out if it's not at least meeting kind of that minimum standard that I want to set forth, right?
100%. I mean, look, at anyone watching here could see the difference in quality between, like, we're both white, but I'm the only one that looks like a ghost, right? Like, so it's like there's a different in quality, visually, audio, all that kind of stuff. So you're doing a good job.
Thank you, thank you.
So what I guess one of the questions I got for you is, what is your target audience?
Hmm, that's a good question. I think when I think about this, I want to reach that person who wants to get a little bit kind of deeper into the levels of knowledge. All the creators are going to have great content, right? And we're all going to cover similar topics in our own unique ways. And where I sit in that is kind of adjacent, right? I'm not going to be the fastest out the market, but I am going to give the viewer something that is one or two levels more in terms of information or just different. A recent video I did was a more visual presentation on a topic with the pity pool system that is covered on so many channels. Yours, I watched your video, loved it, and actually answered questions for me. And I said, how do I take this in a different direction? How do I give something that the audience hasn't seen, hopefully? And so I think the viewers come to my channel, they're the ones that want that slightly different approach, something more adjacent or something deeper. And also just a kind of a chill vibe. I'm a dad of three, and if that hasn't taught me patience, nothing ever will. And so I like to be calm. I like to be kind of concise, and I want someone to feel welcome as they come in the door, in the proverbial door of the video, of course, right?
So I'll say one thing that I didn't know you were a father necessarily. I mean, I kind of heard it mentioned, but like when I watched your videos, one thing I understood is that you have a level of patience and a skill for conveying information, right? You use the visual when conveying pity, right? Where I'm reading like the literal words and I'm trying to convey that with, just audio stuff. You created a visual thing, which to me is just like, that feels like a fatherly thing to do, right? Like how you teach children in a lot of ways. And gotcha players are basically big children. But to be fair, the pity system is not intuitive by any
Not at
stretch.
all.
It's a very unintuitive pity system, but you saw that more as a an opportunity to make it very clear with a different way. I haven't seen anyone do a visual representation of it, right? So I think that just like that comes through your content, that you have a dedication to trying to make things clear, concise, and easily digestible. Where maybe I'm just concerned about getting the content out, and I'm putting a little more responsibility on the viewer to figure it out. If they get confused about something, but you're cutting as much of that out of there as possible. Where it's like, hey, look how easy this is.
No, thank you. But I think in your content, though, all the videos I've watched of yours, they're clear to me. And so yeah, we might be doing it differently, but I definitely think you deliver content that is to the point. It covers what it needs to cover as well. So, I definitely appreciate the style that you have.
No, there's different styles. I guess I don't like this the saying different strokes for different folks, but you know what I mean. Everyone
Yeah.
has a different thing that they like. In terms of like content creators, I watch boomer content creators, right? I'm not the Mr. Beast's average viewer, although I guess there's fire under that right now. But point is, like, I watch like Northern Lion. He's like a 33, 35-year-old dad, and he plays Baltro, and he plays like GeoGuess, or just like a bunch of like old
Yeah.
man stuff, and he just like makes obscure references to 90s movies. I'm like, that's my kind of content creator. So yeah, everyone's got a style of content that they enjoy to watch. So um
Mm.
all right, let's take a look. What else we got here? Yeah. So like what is going to be your main focus on content? I know you said that you're not going to be
Mhm.
first. But like what are you focusing? Are you going to focus on like PvP content? Are you going to focus on meta? Basically advice, explaining things. What kind of content are you
Yeah.
looking to make?
Yeah, so I kind of have a couple avenues, right? PvP is probably not it. I will dabble in PvP. I've never been the biggest fan of it. I'm definitely going to get there for rewards, and I might make some things that are like, hey, if I want to just dabble and get a couple of these tiered rewards, what do I need to do? But I think what I'm really looking forward to, I want to find a solid guild. I want to see what this new guild content is that they kind of teased on that live stream the other day. They didn't really go into any details, but they mentioned, borrowing units. So there's got to be a battle system there, right?
Hmm.
And then also the harder content, things like the tower. I was watching Showtime Doctor's videos a couple days ago, and I noticed that when you went in the tower, there was conditions like somebody had to take dot damage, for example, before they could take full damage. Otherwise, it's reduced. And so, what if I go into that, and maybe I don't bring on my meta characters? I see the tier list, of course, as part of the community, right? But when I'm looking at my notepad here, I have 5 or 6 people noted, two of which are at the bottom of the tier list or very close to it. And I will be pulling for them because they look cool, they look fun. And I think a lot of players out there are not going to pull on every banner and get every top tier unit. So I want my content to also help them to say, hey, you can take your favorite. You might have to plan differently, right? It's a strategy game, but you can make it through. And I think the other content I really want to do is, from my particular lens, from my gotcha experience, how do I treat things like the store? Like, what is worth buying if you don't want to spend whale levels of money, or if you only have $10 and that's all you want to invest? What if you don't want to invest anything? How far behind are you going to feel? I want content like that can speak to anybody and not just to address the person who's got hundreds and hundreds of dollars of disposable income to, pick any banner they choose, right?
100%. I mean, like I've kind of always been I don't know, the everyman, of the gotcha community in a sense where I'm not usually the best source for meta information, at least in the past. Who knows? Maybe I'll be more in this, but I'm typically the guy that finds a way around the meta in a lot of ways
Hmm.
where I'm like one of my favorite things to do in the old gotchas I played was use lower rarity units, right? It's like, hey, I'm not using any S ranks in this video at all because I can't guarantee. I used to do only videos until it became impossible in the gotchas I was
Yeah.
playing, where it needs to I need to be able to guarantee that everyone in my audience has these units. And that was gold
Hmm.
units, right? It was units that were like whatever. Like in this case, it'll be gold units, right? It's like, oh, can I
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
how far can I clear without using a single S unit? And then someone's like, well, I have the meta unit. It's like, well, then it's just easier, right? It's applicable to everybody at every level, was the
Hmm.
idea. Um, and so yeah, honestly, I think we need more people that are there's gonna be people playing free to play. And there's
Yeah.
gonna be people that are whaling, but I think it's important to because even the free to play players, the most of them are going to be pulling based off meta, right? Because they're going to be
Yeah.
really, really careful. So having people that are exploring what isn't, because the meta isn't, it could shift, right? If none of us have any
Hmm.
experience with these units, then we're really just going off of a few people in Taiwan, right? Of like how good this unit is. So I think it's important for some of us to keep exploring these units because there's no matter what, there's going to be content that comes out that the worst unit in the game is going to be freaking badass in that specific map. That's
Yep.
just the way these
Yep.
games work. There's no band-aid unit that is good in every situation besides Gloria probably because of movement. But for the most part,
Yeah.
for the most part, like, units are going to shine in different things.
Well, I
Um
think it gives that lens to, um, when you get that whole global perspective, you're going to find new thoughts and new ideas that didn't exist in the Taiwan and Chinese servers. And I think we're going to see the meta shake up. I honestly do. I don't think it's going to be as static as it might seem in the tier list today. To your point there. And I'm looking forward personally to finding those people that find that off meta strategy. Then people just have their minds blown. Hopefully I can bring some of that to the community. With our own stuff.
Yeah, and people love, especially free to play players. They are determined to get through a lot of content. They will get creative and they will try things that on a larger scale just hasn't been tried or hasn't been, because like maybe some of these strategies require a lot of RNG and people just didn't take the time to actually try that RNG. And so there will be new things just discovered from a larger audience standpoint. And I feel like a lot of people forget like that when we're in the Discord, we're not talking to the average player. We're talking to the people that have known this game's coming out for 6 months, have pre-downloaded it, have been in the Discord chatting about meta every day. So when someone comes in, they're like, "What's a meta unit?" They're like, "What are you talking about? It's Barrow Gloria. What are you talking? Like, duh. Like, but have any of you played the game? Like, no, we haven't played the game, but we know what's good. Like, there's a lot of people that are just gonna download the game and have units, and they're not gonna re-roll. The average gamer doesn't re-roll. They're just going to get what they get, and they're going to try to clear content. And so making guides or making content that are dedicated to the average person, because eventually, if they're not playing meta, they probably will get stuck. And so if we could show them units that are in their box they could use to clear this content, like that it's helpful. It helps generate a new audience, and it's a lot of fun to figure out too. So
absolutely,
which is probably the best part for me.
Do
you have
I fully agree with that.
Do you have a sneak peek of any videos you got coming up? Like what are some of what's like the coming soon TM?
Yeah, so you can see the whiteboard probably on my camera there. I've got a list, and some are going to be, I think, things you'll see from other creators, but with my own spin. For example, I mentioned a little bit about what to buy, and I want to take someone not through every single option on the shop, more of the, hey, I've got $5 to spend, I want to toss it in there. What's the best $5 I can spend, right? So little things like that. I noticed a couple less obvious places to find rewards. So there's a lot of places you can get the Luxite beyond just getting stars on a stage, helping people realize there's more to that currency than what's obvious. And then I think one of the things I really want to do, and this might take a month or so because I have to get high enough level, but the tower, if you don't know, there's a tower mode, and it's some of the harder content. And I really do want to figure out ways to invest in less meta, tier list type characters, more of the fun characters, and say, hey, you know what? This character, you can make shine with these 2 or 3 units around them, or in this kind of scenario, and really teach people how to play and build around a specific unit or type of strategy. Because the thing that I think gets lost with the meta discussion as well is they tend to play easy, and you don't have to put as much thought. Like, I don't have to think about Gloria giving movement speed or move, right? I don't have to think about her giving attack buffs. It just happens. But if I have, for example, I think his name is Magnus, if I have him and I want him to perform the best, how do I need to plan around that? And so some of my content I want to do later as we get higher level is teaching that kind of skill set of how do I read these skills, how do I pick the right ones, and how do I take this character that I just want to play with because they look cool and make it work.
Like the thing with guides and meta, like we kind of touched on it a couple times, but I think it really comes down to like the give a man a fish or teach a man to fish kind of thing, right? Like if you give someone a tier list, which they have value, of course, because it's general community, ideas. But like the difference between giving someone a tier list and like, here's the top 3 units, that doesn't mean shove them in every team. Or even if you just make a guide, you're like, this is the team I used. This is what I did. Like that could be helpful, but there's a value in teaching someone the concept of building a team, why? I'm not just showing you the team that I have. I'm showing you why I'm using the team that I have. What is, what synergies am I looking for? What are things that are good to consider? Like, oh, I need this unit that could do this, but this unit is really, it's like, there's definitely a teaching a man to fish, I think, mentality that it becomes super, super important for just making better players, and making overall better content, although maybe for the most engaging content, you just say exactly what people want to know, give them the easy answer, and then they always have to come back for the next easy answer.
Miracle Gloria, right?
Yeah. And remember, hey, it's like, are you having trouble? How many copies of Gloria do you have? It's like, well, I just got the 1 copy. Well, you got to get her 2-star. You got to get a
Yeah,
3-star.
exactly.
You don't have Gloria
But
at 5-star.
yeah, why are you even here? I want to bridge because if you've played enough gachas, you get to a point where you hit this frustration level, right? Because your units just aren't working. And I want to kind of proactively bridge that in some of my videos to say, when you get to a stage, there's stages that are physical resist or are magic resist. You bring Beryl to a magic resist stage. Great that she's on the meta list. She's not helping you.
Yeah.
Right. So how are you planning for stuff like that? How do you still have fun when you pulled the meta and the meta's not working?
Yeah. And I like one of the things I highlighted in a recent video is I say it once to say it a million times that it's a gotcha game. Normal video games are designed for you to put in time and then beat it and then be done with it. This is a gotcha game. That means it is designed for you to not beat it. It's literally impossible to beat the game, truly beat the game. And the game sets the pace, right? If I get stuck in Final Fantasy Tactics, I could go get some more JP by hitting a chocobo or punching my own teammates for 6 hours, and now suddenly everyone's a Dark Knight on my party, right? Yeah. This game isn't the game. The game sets the pace in a gacha. You're gonna come up against walls that are literally impossible to encourage spending, or and then over time, right? Power goes up in gacha just because new units, your account gets higher level. So when you do hit a wall, have fun trying to get past it, but don't feel like the game. Don't feel like it's designed for you to get past. It's not designed. It's not a normal game in that respect. So the game sets the pace. It is the boss. There will be a stage where all the numbers are 9999 on all the enemies, and you're like, you're not beating this stage. All right.
But your power not there yet. Exactly.
All right. So let's take a look here. Let's kind of talk about the game. I think we've introduced you. We have an idea of your ethos. I'm going to put where we could find you also in the comments. I'll pin it and it'll be in the description. But outside of YouTube, what's your YouTube channel name to confirm it? And then is there anywhere else we could find you that you want us to follow?
Sure. It's 16-bit bear on YouTube. Not really many places else social wise. I am on Twitch and it's the 16-bit bear. My name was taken.
What's Twitch again? I'm sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm probably going to devote almost all my time to YouTube, even the streaming. Just I haven't done a lot on Twitch, and I think that their business model might be failing a little bit. Personal opinion. So I'm going to put my eggs in YouTube primarily. So find me here. I'll be here for the most part.
100%. I stream on YouTube and Twitch because I'm not YouTube allows it. And I'm not like a partner on Twitch, but it's like YouTube is just. It's better for a streamer. I'd say for a viewer, there's some downsides. Like you don't have the same emotes. There's not the. I will say we're not in it to make money, right? It's not our jobs, but there is a more generous giving mentality to Twitch. People gift subs, people give bits, people celebrate hype trains. YouTube people just come in and they watch, which is good. I get my ad revenue from my videos. I'm just trying to hang out when I stream. But I don't know. I could talk about YouTube versus Twitch a while, and I actually quite prefer YouTube because I like all my audience being able to just always see all my content on one platform. And YouTube is just where everybody's at, right? Twitch is I'm kind of over Twitch myself, but if you watch Twitch, I'm not against you. Yeah, 100%.
Are you sure? Yeah, no, it to me, it's the same as a community. I only care to get in the stream. I'll be streaming for the launch later on. And I just want to chill and talk. I don't need fancy stuff to do that. I need a couple people to hold conversation. We'll shoot the breeze and have fun. If I'm getting that out, mission accomplished.
I just want people to keep typing in chat if I got a good reroll or not. That way I don't have to go into Discord and ask. I'm like, was this good? Was this good?
You'll be pinging me on the side.
Yeah. Is this good? I'm just going to go until I get Gloria, but I'm also there's a chance someone at Twitch will be like, come on, man, that was your first reroll. You got to go again. You can get Gloria and something else. I'm like, you're right. Yeah. The next 2 hours spent at not getting Gloria. Then I just don't get Gloria for the next 6 hours, just trying to reroll. I can't even play the game now.
I'm not patient enough to go all night for the rerolls. I'm going to give it quite a few. I'm with you. I'm going for Gloria.
Is that kind of is that your reroll plan? You're going to 30 summons ish?
Yeah, I'm going for Gloria, and ironically, only because she looks like Agrias from Final Fantasy Tactics. Now I know she's meta. I lucked out that she is. But up on my shelf up here, I actually have the 3 figures that Square Enix launched for Final Fantasy Tactics.
All right, let
I
me guess. Let me
splurged on
guess.
them.
It's got to be Agnia, like you said, right? Agnes or
Agri-
Agnia?
Agrius.
Agrius, and it's got to be
Yep.
Ramza.
Mm-hmm.
Do you call him? Is it Ramza or Ramza? Because like these are names I look at, but I've never say
I
them out loud.
flip-flop.
And
I go either way on Ramza. I guess I
and
say Ramza. I just said it.
in Deltia.
Delighted. Yes.
See,
I've got.
this is the thing. I'm an idiot. Like Lord of the Rings, I didn't know how any of the names were said until I watched the movie. Because I was like Gandalf. I was always like G7 letters. And I was like Frodo. I was like F5 letters. I'm really lazy when I read names because I'm like, this shit is
Wizard,
real.
short stack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Actually, do I have anything cool? Let me take a look. Oh, I've got the coolest fucking thing. My friend Brad bought this for me, and we don't talk that much anymore. Not for any reason. You know, I just want to get a little personal here. But look what he got me. This is the Legend of Dragoon.
Yes.
VHS.
That needs a remake.
This is the VHS documentary making of.
Yes. Okay, that's pretty epic.
This is so it says stop watching, start playing The Legend of Dragoon now. And it's like 50 minutes of like I haven't even watched it because I don't have a VHS player. I've had this 3 years. So I have to get a VHS player.
I miss VHS days. I'm old enough to have a lot of stories around that.
So here, one more thing. This is a show and tell really quick. So this is a Game Boy Advance game, Game Boy Color game actually.
Yep.
Magi Nation. So I got this, and I got it so this has some of my favorite video game music of all time, and I got it. Okay. I got it autographed by the composer of the music, which is cool.
That's cool.
But what's extra cool is that this is the only game he's ever done video game music for, and he is a local high school teacher where I work. He just works. He's like a high school music teacher, and just because Wizards of the Coast, Magi Nation, or whatever, like I'm in like Seattle area. It's like he just was like got the job for one gig, and it turned out it was like my childhood. Like this is like some of my favorite music growing up. And I ended up I sent it to him via the mail, and he got it autographed. And I'm like, this is so cool. I can't believe he only did that one game because it's really good.
That's epic. That's so cool. If I could ever get Nobuo Uematsu to sign a vinyl for me, like in person, that would be like a dream come true.
That honestly, man, I look up to so many. Like I know I play a lot of games on silent or mute. That's a lot of times it's because I'm either watching YouTube videos or I'm more focused on trying to figure out stuff for content or whatever. But sometimes, like when I'm really engaged in a story, like the music can make or break. Like there's nothing for me almost in any video game ever quite like the Octopath Traveler 2 or Octopath Traveler COTC, but especially Octopath Traveler 2. They have this segment where it's like everyone has their theme. And then there's like the big badass boss music, and everyone has their theme with a custom transition into the big boss music. And it's like absolutely, it goes like this emotional, and then it just like picks up, and it just goes dun 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 dun, and the whole art style changes kind of because you go into the big sprites versus the little sprites. Actually like chills. Absolutely, I love. God, I'm so excited. I'm so excited because this game's graphics, the visual style, I am so in love with the visuals of this game.
I mean, I've got Pixel Mario on. I'm a 16-bit bear. I mean, clearly this is right up my alley as far as the graphics go.
You're a COD gamer, I could tell.
Yeah, all the time.
So okay, let's talk about. You mentioned earlier how you have a list of like 5 characters that you want to get that aren't considered meta. What are some of the characters you're actually really looking forward to here? Like what are you hoping? What are your fingers crossed besides Gloria? What are you hoping to get lucky with pulling?
Yeah, so there's only one other true meta that I really care about, and that's Inanna. Partly because of her skills, but partly because she reminds me of Edelgard from from Fire Emblem Three Houses, and I love that game. That game's fantastic.
I love that game.
So good. If you hear papers rustling, I've got my notepad out, so forgive me because I write these things down. And the other ones that really kind of have me interested, Magnus, he's like a big old dude with a giant axe, which just speaks to me. I'm in it for that. Whatever he does.
I love it. Magnus, it's not Dandelion. Dandelion is kind of he's a guy with an axe too. but a different kind.
I think he's I don't know if he has an axe. I thought he had a sword, but I could be
Okay,
wrong. He
I
reminds
might
me of
be.
someone from Castlevania.
That's
Dandelion.
true. I still have to learn a lot of the characters by heart. I know the meta characters, but now there's
Mm.
like 23. I know like 6 of them like kind of well.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think the other one, and this one is almost at the bottom of the tier list actually, is Gloria. I don't know much about her kit, but her character design, and you'll see it in the trailer, she has this giant like spinning yo-yo blade looking
Oh my
thing.
god, she's one of my favorite looking characters.
Yeah, I'm gonna make
People
her work.
people in the Discord were memeing on her. They were like, "Look at this terrible garbage character design." I'm like, she is like literally one of the coolest characters. She has like
Yeah,
a freaking Beyblade. She kind of looks like, if you've played Elden Ring, she looks like one of the Crystal Guardians. That there's these guys that jump around and throw Beyblades. She kind of
yeah, yeah.
has that vibe. But uh, I'm very excited to get her as well. But I mean, no
If
one.
I get her on the beginner banner, I'll be happy. Like
Uh,
I get that she's bottom tier. I don't even care.
there's no such thing as bottom tier. There's only bottom tier and late game content. We're in day one.
There's
I mean,
bottom tier until I find a way to make it work in top tier.
exactly. Um, fun has no tier. That I don't like that saying because there is like I'll make videos where I'll give people advice and people will be like,
Mm,
don't tell me how to play the game. All right, don't tell me what to do. I'm like, you clicked on the video. This is just an advice, but also it's like people should just do what they, have fun. People should just have fun. I'm like, I agree, but some people will stop having fun in a couple weeks when they get their faces smashed over and over again because they spent all their
yeah,
currency on weapon rerolls. Like
exactly. There's stuff like that. And I do wish the game was a bit better at preparing you for that. I don't think it explains itself that well, to be honest.
not at
And
all.
I gotcha wise, like those first weeks, it's going to be a breeze. I don't think anybody's going to truly suffer or struggle, maybe a couple fights here and there. It's not until you get to that, from what I understand, post 40 kind of content, that things just kind of take a turn and ramp up, right?
Yeah,
And I think that's where people might start to feel the pressure, I guess you could say, of the meta. So hopefully I'm ahead of that and I can help with it because I want people to stay. I want them to enjoy it. I like the game. I've played a crap ton in the demo. I don't even know how many hours. And I think there's a true gem in this. I just hope we can get people past the frustrating part when they get to that transition of the hard content.
100%. I don't remember exactly what video I said it in, but one of the things I wanted to highlight was, I've said it once, I said it a million times, is the Gacha Game. And what I mean in this context, I mean different things when I say it at different times. But what I mean here is that this game is never going to give you a pop-up being like, warning, this is a bad decision. It's going to there are traps built into the game, into the shops, into the polls. They don't
Mhm.
tell you that it's a bad idea to pull on the standard banner. They don't tell you it's a bad idea to pull on the weapon banner. They'll just let you dump
Yeah.
all your currency in it. And that's because all gotcha games do that. And people are like, well, it's dumb. No one does that. It's like, no, no, no. Us in Discord don't do that. There are traps built into there, and people that either don't play a lot of gotchas or it's been a while or they
Mhm.
different gotchas, maybe the light cone banner or weapon banner is good in those gotchas. I don't know. But this game will allow you to waste all your currency unintelligently, and then you'll have to spend money to catch back up to be even caught up with the free to players, right?
Yeah.
So I think trying to make content that tries to help people avoid those pit holes is actually good. And it's not just like let people do what they want to have fun. I'm like, this has longer term consequences. If you
Yeah.
can
It'll ruin
spend
your fun.
if you could spend your currency and even spend money and be behind the average free to play player because you just wasted all your currency on something that you didn't know was a bad idea, like that's not fun. No one's having fun
No.
there. So, and the
You do that
game's
a
not
couple
the
times,
game.
you're with the game.
The,
Yeah.
the game might be great. The game is going to be fun. It's going to be a blast, but it is not your friend. The game isn't
No.
going to be like, hey man, listen, don't do this. It's not. It's
I
not even going to ask for a confirmation a lot of times.
I think I might have said that like 73 different times in my last video on the gotcha is it's not built for you. It's built for the developers to make money. And that's fair. They built a game, they should get paid. But I can't tell you how many discussions I've had in gotcha games, this one included, around statistics. And they're like, oh, but the probability when you get the pool 165 is X in your favor. I'm like, it doesn't matter. You're gonna hit the character you're not, and if you don't get to 180, you're not getting them. Like it's the gotcha point. It's not for you.
Like here's a perfect example. I was playing Marvel Snap. I don't personally like the game that much, but they have this cash system where it's like, all right, there's 4 options. It takes a key each time to do it. I had 3 keys and I only wanted 1/4 of the options. So I was like, all right, the first key is a 1 in 25. Then it's a 1 in 33. Then it's a 50/50. And I missed. And then I didn't have the 4th key for the 100%.
Yep.
So I literally did all the way up to where I statistically should have gotten it at that point, just because, there was only going to be one thing out of the 4 that was left that I couldn't have, but I didn't get it, right? And the thing is, yeah, I was being dumb, but like there will be people that get impatient and that make bad decisions, but it's like that's why you always got to advise people, just save till pity. That way there's no bad out. The worst outcome is what you were expecting. You can't get worse than hitting pity.
Exactly.
So you should plan for hitting pity. Then you get it in 90 pulls, you get it on the 100, and suddenly you have 80 more pulls in the bank, so you're already most of the way to another pity. Like,
yeah, that's the way to look at it.
100%. All right. So besides Magnus, what were some of the other characters? I think we switched topics.
Oh no worries. Yeah, so Garcia, and then I've got
Garcia,
Momo written down. Yeah, so Momo,
she's a dot character, right?
Yeah, and I love in RPGs bleed and dot type characters. And I think a lot of people will sleep on that, but when you get in front of a boss who has ridiculous defense, who has a just massive sponge of HP, dots are your friends. Right. And I know a lot of people solve that with fire on the ground, but like I've always liked the playstyle of kind of hitting them, sitting back and just watching them turn after turn just bleed out damage.
Yeah,
and so that one's got me impressed.
I am wondering if fire on the ground is percent based or if it's flat amount. I hope it's percent based. It's gotta be.
It's percent based.
Okay, because like there's no way it's like 20 damage and then it's like, oh, after the first hour, no one cares about that for the rest of the game.
Exactly.
So dots are always some of my favorite mechanics. It depends how they work. Usually there are times where it's so slow it's not viable.
Yeah,
there are times where it also depends on this type of game, but in PvP dots could be good if they proc at the start of a turn, and that means you could deal it and then they get hit. If it procs at the end of a turn, that's probably not going to be a PvP thing. But like you're saying, bosses in PvE, it doesn't really matter if it goes at the beginning or the end of their turn. It's more of a total damage thing. So I think I love dots. Momo is way up on my list as well. I'm going to do a lot of polls. I'm going to try to get every character. I'm not going to. 200 polls is not enough to get every character. Not even close. But I am hoping to get Momo as well. So like, these are cool characters, but come on. Where's Guzman on your list? Guzman or Guzman? I don't even know. He is my #1 most wanted character, and he is clearly considered the worst character in the game. People meme on him so hard.
You know what? He's got to be a sleeper. He's got to be. I just want that to be true. So but I haven't studied his kit other than knowing he's got like an undead mechanic, which I love. That reminds me of Caius from Final Fantasy 13.
He's like I did read through his kit. I don't remember every ability, right? There's a lot of abilities per characters. They're actually relatively complex characters overall. But he has a corpse mechanic. When he dies, he becomes a corpse with, I don't know how much HP. I think it resets his HP to max, but then he gets like a huge defense downgrade. You know, it's like 50% less defense or 75% less defense. And then if they don't kill the corpse, he gets back up. It can only trigger one time per fight though, but he's kind of got a self-revive mechanic. Again, I don't know how, if it takes 2 rounds, it's probably garbage to revive. If he gets up next round, that's probably pretty good. It's hard to say. But then he's got this huge like berserker thing where if he's like really close to death, he does a big bonus of damage, which is obviously, I see why people are like, oh, he's bad, because like typically you don't want to be close to death and then get picked off by something. But he's got this really cool skill that I love. That's it's like he gives himself like a triple attack up, like a triple like other buff, and then HP regeneration. Then he consumes like 45% of his own HP, but it's an instant ability, so he gets to do it instantly and then attack. So I feel like he's got this potential to do a really big burst of damage. However, he's probably a meme if I'm being honest. But I'm gonna play him for sure. And I just feel like one of the big issues people said he had was that he's slow. And I'm like, yeah, but Gloria exists, right? Like 2 movement on anybody, 3 to 5 is a big boost in this game.
Oh yeah.
So I'm hoping if I have Guzman and Gloria they'll be a waifu and husbando for each other.
See, I'm undoubtedly going to pull him now because we're talking about him. I haven't read his full kit, but what screams in my head that I would actually try to test with is I would send him out as an intentional, just way farther than he should be to become a decoy. Take out those first couple units and die. Intentionally use that mechanic.
Yeah.
And now in the back ranks, I'm buffing everybody. So I've got a fully buffed party, maybe with Glory in tow, leading the movement charge against a whittled down line. Crank through as much of it as I can. He pops back up, finishes the deal. So he's an overextend character.
That's what I've kind of, the vibe I was getting is that he's an overextend character, where it's like, all right, PvE, he's probably pretty good because PvE is just going to focus him. If he's close, they're just going to focus him. PvP, and they don't attack him or something, and maybe he doesn't do enough damage to be a real threat. But in PvE, the AI is going to focus him, and you're obviously going to build him with a lot of HP because a lot of his stuff scales with HP in the sense where when he's injured, he does more damage. When he's dying, he does more damage, and those are HP percent thresholds. But like, the only thing I'm nervous about regarding that is if stages require you to have no characters die or something for like a 3rd star, I'm like, this could be like a game structure issue where it's like, oh, I want to get 3 stars on the stage, and it's like, oh, but you had a character go down, and if he revives, it doesn't count. Maybe even if he does revive, it does count though. I don't know. So I'm a little nervous about that very specific interaction. But
It'll be interesting to see if they do that. I mean, hopefully they don't count the revive mechanic against you.
Yeah,
that would kind of suck.
I'm 100% hoping that they don't. I mean, I've got big hopes for him. I'm gonna use the selector on him if I don't pull him. I'm gonna do all my pulls first on day 1. I'm gonna do a good amount of pulls, and then if I don't have him, I'm gonna use the selector on him. Like, he's my boy, and I'm gonna make it work. And I know he's gonna be the first character I get maxed out, and then I'm gonna pull 10 additional copies of him by mistake. And I'm like, why the hell did I use my selector? I still don't have any Inanas or whatever her name is, the girl with the princess guard.
Yeah, that's the gacha gods for you, man. If you don't need 10 copies, they'll give you 50.
Exactly. It's gonna be, but I'm very excited for him. So I guess, yeah, so it sounds like the game modes you're most excited to play. Like, again, you're not going to necessarily go that heavy into PvP, but you'll dabble. But it's mostly going to be high-end, late-game content with interesting off-meta builds, it sounds like.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, some of it's going to depend on what I pull, obviously. I mean, if all I pull is meta somehow, then I'm kind of stuck to some extent. But then I might dabble down into, what is it, the gold tier, the epic tier. I haven't done a lot of research on them, but I know there's a few units that actually can perform really well, even against, the quote unquote meta units. And I want to kind of toy with them. There's a couple that have interesting designs that I like. I don't know the name of it, but there's a character that looks like a, knight, and he's got like fire behind him and stuff like that. And I love the cool.
Yeah,
cool
that's actually,
right?
that was the one I was going to mention. I believe that's the only magic tank in the game, like dedicated for tanking magic attacks at launch, at least. I could be wrong about that, but I saw someone being like, "Oh, this is the only guy that's designed to tank magic attacks at launch."
Yeah, when I want to see
cool.
I know you can't use as much on the environment against bosses. You can't knock bosses off into the void, from what I understand. I mean, I haven't played it to know for sure, but it tends to make sense.
Yeah.
But there's other interactions, like there's traits that you can, summon the explosive barrels, and then there's some characters that can throw things around. So I think about, can I get some cool interactions like that? Like, can I push an enemy back, drop down a trait barrel, throw something into it, and now I've kind of created my own little explosion, circle of death and destruction, right?
100%. Like, one of the things that I kind of want to do is like, cause. I mean, there's other floor effects than fire. I know there's wine actually.
There's ice or something, I think.
So like, it's like I want to get a bunch of dots on a boss, light the floor on fire, and then I kind of want, like you said, throw an explosive barrel and then block them in, just like you're standing there and I got 2 tanks and you're stuck in a corner. Like, again, this is all pie in the sky. Who knows? Maybe a boss is a 2x2 instead of a 1x1 square, and then it's like suddenly you just can't block that in effectively. But they're just because of the environmental effects, because of the mechanics of pushing stuff off cliffs, because of barrels, and there's a lot of fun different strategies you could do, because I feel like a lot of people are going to default to what's my DPS on this guy, and I feel like this game really wants you to not exploit, but to utilize the environment to your advantage.
I had one cool interaction in the demo, and again, this was early stuff. It wasn't exactly a hard stage, but I couldn't quite get to where I could knock someone off. And so I had Mytha and I forget her name, Wraith, whatever the girl is from the promos as a giant sword that everyone's going to get, Rowena or something like that.
The really, really
I
attractive one for those that are
Yeah,
watching.
there you go.
Yeah.
Exactly. So she was in a better position, and so I used Mytha to knock her back, and then used Wraitha to knock her off. And so it was like a 1-2 combo. I couldn't kill him in a hit anyway. So I'm like, oh cool, let me push you back and then push you over because I've got two characters going back to back that can do this little combo, if you will.
Like, yeah, I love that. Like, and what I did a lot in the demo, just like I would have if my characters are out of thing, like out of range, I would push my character into the enemy character just to deal a little bit of bonus damage.
Oh,
Like
I didn't think about that. That's smart.
It hurts your own character for this pretty much, I think, the same percentage amount that it hurts them. But like if you have healers on your team, or it's Mytha or whatever doing it, and she heals at the end of the turn anyway, it's a pretty low thing. But like I had a lot of times where it was like I had a chance to, you know, kind of box him in and kind of flank him, and then I'd have her knock him, like do the damage of the hit, knock him into my ally, and deal extra damage there. And so like it was just an easy way to get like a little bit of extra damage to maybe one shot something. And it hurts your character, but I love the ability. You know, I love that it's like, hey, it doesn't just like, oh, you can't occupy that square because that's an allied square. It's like, no, it deals damage to them, deals damage to you. It's a fair trade.
Yeah.
I love those kinds of tactics because it really starts, you're like, oh, I didn't think about doing it like that, or I didn't think about, you know, whatever XYZ. So there's a lot of the core mechanics of this game feel like they're set up for success. They put in a lot of effort to those.
Yeah, and that's where I think having the global player base, there's just so many more people playing it. You're going to see stuff like that come out of the woodwork that no one has thought of yet, and it's going to be fun.
I think like that's what I've played some gacha games, but I've seen a lot of like tactical gacha games, and it's like you could just tell by looking at them, like their core mechanics are just way weaker than in a lot of ways. Like sometimes maybe they have really good character designs and character whatever. I don't want to judge the artwork, but it's like it'll be on a flat plane, right? There's no like any kind of elevation. Not only does this game have elevation, but there's like different kind of effects you got to look for, and you know, edges on top of like some skills are instant skills. And I love that it's not an MP system. I can't like it feels, I don't want to say ripped, but they definitely were inspired by like triangle strategy in this regard, where they got rid of MP because MP I think is inherently hard to balance. If you get a skill with like an insane skill, you can like, oh, give it a high MP cost, but then you could like build MP super hard, where I feel like this is easier for them to contain. But then they have that skill, and they have cooldowns to kind of go with that, which is actually, I just like these core mechanics all feel so good because I like having a bunch of little levers. Like there's a really cool ability on Barrel that costs like 4 whatever, you know, FP or whatever it's called, of the points, but it has no cooldown. So if you could like build a team based around giving her like being a battery for her, she could use this super buff skill every single turn. And I actually think Beryl might be meta, not as a damage dealer, even in fights where she's bad, because she actually has like an AoE give everyone like 2 energy or something. She could be a battery for the team as well, but that's kind of a side note. But I just wanted to highlight
characters will be big.
The core mechanics feel huge in this game. Like they feel well thought out for just a really fun experience, a tactical experience, which is so good. You're not going to auto through these fights. Like maybe some in the late game, but it's going to take a while.
Yeah.
All right. Was there anything else that you kind of wanted to talk about, chat about?
I mean, nothing specific comes to mind. I mean, more than just saying thank you for bringing me aboard today. This has been amazing. It's been a very interesting journey these last couple of weeks, just seeing people come and engage and put comments on the videos and just blowing my mind with the viewership. You know, I can't stress how much I appreciate that as a new content creator. And honestly, I'm doing this from a creative outlet kind of standpoint. This is my after work, kids go to bed, you know, what can I do to engage a community and have some fun? And this is kind of what I landed on. And so I'm putting a lot of effort into it, trying to give really the best of me to anyone who's showing up. And so seeing you recognize it, seeing the reception of the community has just been phenomenal. And I've just been enjoying every bit of it.
100%. I mean, Gacha fans are passionate fans because a lot of these games, people have a lot of money in them. or they're just
Mm.
like anime fans, and anime fans, you know, you don't insult their waifus, right? But I mean, I'm in the same boat, right? Like my job is being a janitor or a custodian, whatever's more fancy of a term. If my dad asks, I'm a sanitation engineer.
There
Um,
you go.
but it's like, you know, I have more. This kind of helps fulfill my job, helps me fulfill my bills. This kind of helps me fulfill meaning in a lot of ways. Like I have a lot of things in my life that I care about, but like I get a lot of value out of this as well. So I totally understand when you're just start doing a creative outlet thing. Like it feels good. I don't know. I could talk about.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's not for everybody, but I have a lot of fun doing it.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's just been such a fun journey. I can't wait to just keep going with it and just seeing how far I can take it.
All right. Well, we're gonna be looking forward to your next videos. Make sure you get them out quick because I need some ideas. And anyway, I think that's gonna wrap it up for this one. If you guys want to see us do something more in the future, let us know. We'll see about maybe doing something on his channel. I don't know. We'll see what happens as time goes on. Anyway, much love. Purplatypus is Purplatypus. And what's your sign off?
I don't even have one yet. I just tell everyone I'll see you in game.
All right.
I'll see you on the next one.
We'll both see you in game, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.